Welcome everyone to the Pro Trade Room Plus and the U.S. Jobs Report, better known as NFP, non-farm payrolls. My name is Lee Goldstein, the Trading Director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. I am not a financial advisor. It is possible to lose money trading futures. Please trade carefully. Good morning, everyone. And I want to welcome everyone on YouTube that's watching us streaming. Thank you for coming. Just a heads up, everyone, there's also Canada Jobs is trading today as well. And usually Canada Jobs has a good move when US Jobs trades, but I will not even be watching Canada Jobs today. Just to give everybody a honest appraisal of what's going on this morning. It's a margin event. The brokers are definitely have already raised, will raise margins about 10 minutes before the report. If you're a Ninja Trader broker customer, AMP has already raised their margins. Ninja Trader is 4 times the day trade margin. So there's a lot of risk, volatility, and risk. Okay. I'm going to say it more than once. It's not a family money trade today. If you look at the DMM, we've had a couple of tough months, although August was mixed. August was mixed. September, we definitely had a loss last month. August, for probably half the traders, was a loss. Half the traders were winners. We had 3 good events in the middle of the DMM 6-month journal there. And then in March, it was difficult. Okay. So just for fun, because we love having so much fun, let's look at August. August was a huge move, but it was also a very fast whipsaw. So let's see what happened. I don't remember August. I really don't. Heads up on margins. It's up to every individual person to understand what's going on with margins. I don't want to spend 10 minutes discussing margins today. Suffice it to say that bonds are one of our margins, one of our instruments. ZN, it's 500 times 4, $2,000 per contract. If you're trading a 2-contract trade, then it's 4 contracts because our software doubles the margin. Any software that creates a bracket doubles the margin. It's not just our software. And you need more, at least, you should have at least 2,000 more than that in your account. So it's 2,000 per contract. And I would say make it 3,000 per contract, and that's conservative. 500 times 4, 50 times 4 for gold micros, okay? If you decide you want to trade gold micros. Gold is more expensive to trade. Let's look at what happened in August. Suffice it to say, this is not the day if you have $1,800 in your account to be trading live, right? Now, even micros would be challenged with $1,800. So you want to be smart. You don't want to get your trade shut down. For us, we had a profit in August, and I think quite a few people made money in gold, but it did a quick reversal. You could see it there. That was a very fast, huge whipsaw fast. Huge fast whipsaw. And then let's take a look at last month also. Okay, September 1st. Now, this is a report. So we had a whipsaw in September. That's what got us. Okay. Nothing you can do on an event that behaves like that. And that was most every instrument had a problem last month. Keep in mind that you could trade the NQ on this report. You could trade the ES on this report. You could trade the Euro futures on this report. Everything, almost everything will have a tradable move. And very often, everything trades similarly. In other words, if everything whipsaws, everything whipsaws. A lot of times, if there's a great move, everything has a great move. Now, I would not call 2 months ago a loser. It really was a stop with, what's the word I'm looking for? A stop with an asterisk. Okay. It's a stop with an asterisk. It was not a across the board winner. So in some ways, I mean, for me personally, I would rather trade a report that stopped out last month than a report that had 4 or 5 winners in a row. When it's got 2 or 3 winners in a row, I'm not as nervous as when I trade a report that has 5 winners in a row. And it's just superstition. You know, a good performing report is a good performing report. There's no way around it. The jobs report can be a tough report to trade. It's the nature of the beast. I'm trading bonds today. 8/29/58 is my activation time. Sorry, 59. The bracket is 7, and I'll probably use an 8. I'm expecting a large move today. This report is so watched and so being scrutinized that I think whatever happens, it's going to have a significant move. It could wind up having a significant move after the news, which it often does anyway. But I think there's a possibility we get a good, strong move. At the time of the report, first target is 7. Profit target 2. I'm going to increase it, and the stop is 12. And my account warnings are off. I'm going to label the trade 8/29/58 on my activation. I thought bonds were 58. I'm going to label the trade bonds. Okay. And I'm going to test my brackets like we always do. Now, the one thing I absolutely hate about today's report is our bracket is right at the high of the day. I hate that. And it's at the low of the day. I'm not overjoyed. I would much rather not be right near the high and low of the day. The only saving grace is that the market at the moment is very quiet. The bond market at the moment is very quiet. You can see it was pretty active yesterday in the market. So there's certainly been volatility in the bond market. I can't tell you how scared and worried many people are about the condition of the bond markets, the US economy, the commercial real estate market. People are extremely, extremely worried about what's going on in the world today. And I don't think you can blame it on one party or another, but we have a pandemic induced serious, serious issues in our society. And people don't realize that we have not recovered in any way, shape, or form from the pandemic. And in fact, it's wreaking havoc on our financial markets now. And people, I'm extremely worried. I don't like to hide behind, well, people are saying, like some of the podcasts that I watch, people are saying, you're ultra conservative, or people are saying you're a liberal. That's a ruse for saying, well, I'm saying, but I'm going to hide behind people are saying. I'm saying that I'm extremely worried about the economy. And I'm not a genius. I'm not an economic genius. I'm like everyone else. I'm just a regular person. That's the truth. I'm really not a financial advisor. I'm a piano player. Okay, but I'm worried. So, but the thing is, in some ways, that doesn't matter to us. That's the whole thing about what we do. We're still going to get our move on this report. Whether the bond market is good or bad, we're still going to get our move. I think that's the one thing that we can always know. Almost always is going to happen. Sometimes, of course, we're going to get a move that isn't very responsive to a report, right? Sometimes that happens. The Australia rate statement, it didn't move. That's unusual, and that could happen on a U.S. jobs report. I don't think I've ever seen it happen on a U.S. jobs report, though, where it didn't move. So I do expect a move. You can trade ZF. You could trade now. Trading ZF is a little bit lower risk, but the margins are the same on ZF. And then just a heads up on Canada for anybody that's interested in trading the Canadian report, 6C 1223. Okay. And I would use a bracket of 10 with a stop of 22, targets of 8 and 35. Okay. An entry time of 8:29:59 if you have interest in trading Canada. I would trade it as a breakout. Okay. Let's check our time sync. Does everybody understand what we mean about margin? Is there anyone that doesn't understand what margin means? I mean, very simply, you have, for each contract you want to trade, each position requires a certain amount of cash to be in your account. Our software, when you put on one bracket, that's 2 contracts. When you put on 2 brackets, that's 4 contracts. So gold, okay, full size gold is very expensive to trade because it has a high margin. Why do I always do what I say I'm not going to do? I don't know. Because I care. So gold has a margin of 1,000. Micro gold has a margin of 200. So micro gold is 800 per contract. So let's make it 1,000 per contract. So you have extra money. You need more than the margin. Okay. You need more than your margin. So make it 1,000 per contract. So if you're trading 2 orders, above and below, that's 4 contracts. If you're trading double brackets, you're 8 orders. Okay. And then regular gold is, let's say it's 1,500. 1,500 times 4. So it's 1,000. Theoretically, gold costs 1,000 per contract. They're quadrupling that today. So it's 4,000. And then you have to multiply that by the number of contracts. And I would add another $2,000 that should be in your account. So, I mean, to trade 1 contract of gold, you're looking at really having $7,000-8,000 in your account, or they will not allow you to trade. Okay, the micros are smaller, but margin is the required amount of cash that you have to have in your account so that the broker lets you take the risk. And it's all about the point that the broker will not take the risk anymore. And this all started. I think the brokers really started getting very serious about margin, much more serious than they had ever been when oil went to 0 and below. When that happened, the broker named AMP, they almost went into a all hands on deck mode, is the best way I could explain it. They wouldn't allow us to trade oil for weeks after that. I do not have any knowledge about what happened, whether as a broker they lost a lot of money when that event took place. I honestly don't know. All I know is that they changed a lot of their rules about the way they deal with margin. And then after that took place, we started to see eventually the brokers started raising margin on certain news release reports. This is one of them: CPI, PPI, FOMC statement. And the point of it is so that retail traders are essentially forced to take less risk or not trade the report at all at the moment of the economic release. Okay. Now, so bonds, bracket of 8, targets anywhere between 6 and 20-ish, stop of 12, triggering at 829.58. And then the gold setup, gold, micro gold, always keeping in mind that, gold really can move and be volatile. Everything can be volatile and move on this report. The gold setup is a bracket of 25. I would probably use bigger targets on gold. I might stay with my first target, but I might use a 49.50 target on my second target with gold. So if there is a really nice straight shot kind of move, you could take advantage of it. And the stop would be 35. And if you decide to do micros, I would probably trade it similarly. With micros, if you're willing to take the risk, sometimes a quite bigger stop can allow you to survive a big whipsaw. So if you use a 50 stop with micros, you might survive a whipsaw that you might not survive with a 35 stop. And keep in mind that the micro is a dollar, around a dollar a tick. So the risk, a couple of $100 with two contracts. Bracket is 25, activate 829.59 on gold. Targets anywhere between 50 and 60-ish, I would say. And the stop is 35. And our DMM is very honest, which it always is. Gold can be challenging to trade, thin volume, slippage, and instability. It's before the market open. Okay. So those facts are always true. Not always true. That information is a heads up, to be careful. So they're looking for they're looking for lower job numbers. All right. I think if they get their 170 or a little bit less, the market would be very happy about that. If the report is in the 200s, or I think if the report's over the 170, it's definitely going to be construed as bad news. If it's over the 200s, it's probably going to be construed as very bad news. Okay. The market would rather see lower wages also because that's less inflationary. I don't know if it's possible to see lower wages because of the issue of, think about all the strikes, all the inflationary pressures on wages, very strong, I think, inflationary pressures on wages. So the key number that everyone looks at is always the non-farm payroll number they're expecting. The forecast is for 170,000. So Calvin, do you say that as a negative, as a positive, or is it just a statement of fact? Because what that says to me is you can work a job that might not be considered the greatest job in the world, but maybe you could barely get by if you work that job. In other words, at $8 an hour, you need food stamps. I mean, these billion-dollar corporations need to pay their workers. They need to pay their workers. I mean, in some ways, it's a negative, but from a humanistic viewpoint, paying your workers is not a negative, right? It's not supposed to be a career. Uh, that's true, but it should be. It doesn't mean you should not be able to live if you work somewhere. You do have the right to get a livable wage. And we could debate that, but we're not here to debate that stuff. We're here to think about the jobs report today, not if you can be replaced by a kiosk. Hey, listen, I go to Dunkin' Donuts all the time. I'm not ordering with a kiosk. I want to know what the weather is, and I want to talk to a person about it. I like dealing with people. I don't like ordering from a kiosk. And I don't mind using a kiosk. It's not that I'm old fashioned. I'm not crazy about 4-day work weeks. I don't think a 4-day work week makes sense. The 40% rate increase, David, about the auto workers is, when you're negotiating the CEO who's at his holiday mansion negotiating, it's hard not to say it should be a 70% increase. The reality is, the problem is, income inequality in this country is incomprehensible. That's the reality. Whether you want to accept it or not, there is the wealthy and all the rest of us. Anyway, let's watch the jobs report. Let's watch the jobs report. And don't understand not wanting people to make as much as they can. I want people to make as much as they can. The corporations have plenty of money. I don't want to have a contract that endangers the health of the corporation either. I want fairness, but I don't think we live in that world where there is fairness. There is no fairness. We have 4 minutes. All right. We have 4 minutes. The important info is the non-farm payroll number. That's the key number. All right. That's the key number. I'm watching gold on the right. I'm watching gold on the right. I'm not setting up any reversal trades today or any secondary trades. There definitely could be a possibility. There definitely could be movement. There will be movement after this report, and it could be extreme volatility also. Sometimes it takes a minute or so to absorb the news. Um, the higher margin info is something the brokers have announced, Robert, and they've been doing it for months and months and months. I get a daily email from AMP if they raise the margins, and usually I call Ninja Trader Broker to check, but I did not call them today. But you can count on the fact that they are raising margins. It's on their calendar. It's on their website calendar. All right, so we're getting ready. We've got about 2 minutes until the report. And it's like we said, the markets have been pretty calm in advance of this report. And I think the broad markets are would like to see news that supports the Fed pausing. That's what the markets would prefer. And I think the jobs reports that we saw this week were mixed. There were a couple of different jobs reports this week. I think if I remember, I forget if ADP was much higher than expected, but they were mixed. One report was higher numbers, one report was lower. All right, so 30 seconds. Watching gold on the right, trading bonds on the left. All right, we're getting ready. Orders are going to show up right about now. Okay, so I moved my stop to break even, which probably didn't have to do. Probably didn't have to do it. So trading ZN, I'm very tired of trading ZN, to be honest. Gold. Did anyone trade gold? I didn't watch the original move, but I'm thinking I didn't see the original move. I think it was an excellent, excellent, excellent move. Let's get a roll call. If you traded, what happened to you? Bonds hit my first target, and really I didn't get much more than the first target. Stop was at break even to protect the target. The news, I didn't watch gold. I didn't see gold out of the corner of my eye, so I have to watch it. The news is horrendous, okay? It couldn't be worse. It probably couldn't be worse. A monstrous amount of jobs, over 300,000. I don't think it could have been worse in terms of the versus the expectation. I think that you're going to see, you want to be careful. But Doc says he traded the NQ. I was actually thinking NQ this morning. Thinking NQ, thinking ES. Sometimes fills can be difficult on the indexes, but we'll go through the various different indexes. Let me know what you traded. Steve, you traded. Steve, it was just, there was definitely some slippage. So the fill was further down the candle. If you look, if you see where the fill was, the initial fill is more than halfway down the candle. So it's actually not weird, but we probably could have just sat in the trade because the news is so bad. The news is so bad. I mean, I basically protected the profit, and protecting the profit pulled me out of the trade. Looking at the results, if we look at the results quickly, if I can get this ridiculous program to respond to my mouse. So the jobs are just way too many jobs created. Payrolls are up. Unemployment rate, interestingly, ticked higher, which is interesting. Okay. Canada also very, very strong job numbers. Their unemployment rate was a little better, a little bit lower, but the U.S. numbers extremely negative for the instruments we trade. Gold shoots down, bonds shoot down, often on very bad news. Doc said he traded the NQ. The NQ shot down very nicely, it looks like. I'm guaranteeing you the euro. I would say that most every instrument you're going to see has a similar type move. Then the question becomes, how were your fills, right? How were your fills? So David's saying he did not get good fills on gold. Who traded gold with our setup with a 25 bracket? Did anyone else trade gold? Anyone? I'm not seeing any reports of anybody saying they traded gold. So we made money on bonds. And Doc made money on the NQ. Caesar had you do on micro gold. And what'd you use for a bracket and a stop? Very, very large candles on everything, which is not to be unexpected with news so far outside of the realm of what was expected. Okay. Small loss on MGC. Langford made money on ZF 250. Very nice, Langford. So I'm not getting much gold info. A lot less people trading gold on this report lately. Let's take a look at the video real quickly. And I do want to thank everybody watching us on YouTube. Why don't you hit the like button if you're watching us on YouTube as a way of thanking us for bringing these free live streams once a week. And we do appreciate your coming to see us. And I want to thank everybody on YouTube. We're going to close our YouTube stream. We wanted to show you what we do. Go to our website at 10minutetrades.com, 10minutetrades.com, and you can learn what we're all about and join with us coming down the road. So thank you very much on YouTube for watching us this week, and we'll see you next week. And thanks for coming.